Hi, and welcome to Female Entrepreneurs Magazine, your go to platform for ambitious women who are ready to take the business world by storm. I'm your host, Angel France, and each week we'll dive into the latest strategies, stories, and success secrets from the most inspiring female entrepreneurs around the world. Hi, and welcome to the Real Female Entrepreneurs. Today's guest is a woman's leadership expert transforming the workplace with her revolutionary menstrual cycle planning approach. I only wish that when I had that. Oh, I think that would have been a miracle worker. By aligning work with natural rhythm, Tonya boosts productivity and satisfaction by up to 30%. A sought after speaker and author, she empowers women to lead with confidence and authenticity while helping companies retain top female talent. Help me welcome the game changer in workplace culture, the inspiring Tonya Davis. Welcome, Tonya.
Thank you so much, Angel. I'm so happy to be here.
I know. Oh my God. I cannot wait to deep dive into this topic of yours a little bit, if you don't mind. First off, how did the subject come about? Before we even get into how you became an entrepreneur, how did the whole subject come about and you have your aha moment?
Honestly, so it started where I had a deeper desire to help women. I feel like it just started with that natural intent. And I had this intent, but I didn't know how that I could help women more because I was already doing like life coaching and mindset sessions, but I wanted to get a little bit deeper, especially when it came to women. And I set the intention. I really didn't know how I was going to go about doing things. And then just all of a sudden, out of the blue, I get this message from a production coordinator because I also work in film and TV as like a crew member. So I do like production coordinating, production managing, and they needed a last minute production assistant for a movie. And I was like, okay, not knowing what I was really agreeing to. And when I got the call sheet at like 1 a.m. in the morning, the title of the documentary was called Periodical. So I don't know if you've heard of Periodical, but it was actually picked up by MSNBC Films. So it was actually picked up, and it's a documentary about women and their periods. And that was the aha moment when I had the fortunate pleasure of being behind the scenes to hear Dr. Christine Metz speak about the healing power of our menstrual blood. And when she was talking about our menstrual blood containing stem cells, I was just like, wait a minute, what? Stem cells? And stem cells are used to treat cancer. So she's talking about all these healing benefits. And she starts talking about how, veterinarians will actually, ask you to bring in your dog's poop sample, to find out what's going on. She was like, but why aren't, gynecologists asking women to bring in their menstrual blood sample to see the health of the uterus before actually going in? And it was just such like a paradigm shift, when she was speaking. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is how I can help women. It's actually getting us back in tune with that very thing that we're shamed with. I feel like a lot of us, when we enter into getting our periods, there's a lot of shame and taboo that comes with it. We're not supposed to talk about it. It's very hush hush. You still have to be ladylike. You still have to do every and all the things, no matter how you're feeling. And that is what sparked this. So I was like, oh no, I have to dive deeper into this. So I went through the Institute of Menstrual Health. Not sure if people are familiar with that, to get my women's health hormone certification. And that's how it got started. It was just like, so for me, I always tell people, once you set that intention and it's of, like I say, the highest good, for everyone involved, the opportunity will present itself in ways that you just have no idea. So I am grateful that I was just like, sure, and just accepted that message and was on set to experience this. And it was just so many women that just came on that set, just speaking about our periods and then just like the taboo around it. And even we had journalists come on to speak about like even certain things that they don't speak about on the air. So it was just very interesting to have that. And an all female film crew, because I don't know if many people know, the film crews are very men dominant. So to have all females, it was just a very powerful experience. So that's how, I got into like periods. Hoorah!
That is so cool. That is cute. That is cute. Period. Hoorah.
Because it's not normal, we don't normally like, uplift, women in periods. We
Right.
definitely keep that hush hush. Even the education, I feel it's the same as when I was in school. They separate the boys and girls, they let you know, okay, this is going to happen, but they don't actually go through what this really means for us, like entering womanhood. So it's just very interesting how even in 2025 now, the education about our periods is still like, okay, we talk about it, okay, we're done. like that's how it is, like, and it's just very interesting. Even women don't want to let that they're on their periods because of the comments that are made. If God forbid you're in a bad mood, oh, you must be on your period, as if you cannot be in a bad mood for any other reason. It's like, it's not because you're being a dick that I'm in a bad mood. It has to be my period. So
It's true though. I mean, it's leave us alone. It's just leave us alone. Because I
yeah.
mean, it could be your attitude which is causing it 100%.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
okay. So you got the aha moment. Okay. You got a certification in all things women, hormonal. What flipped the switch to get you to actually start?
Honestly, there was like a great deal of fear there, to be honest with you. And I feel like I had to validate what I was saying first. So I went through different counselors and mentors, and it was just very interesting, like me pitching the idea. So that's what I did to kind of validate what I was saying. I would pitch the idea, and everybody would just be like, oh my gosh, this is so like amazing. Like nobody's doing, like, what is going on? Like, so I was like, oh, okay, this is something to really go head on with. And that fear of I feel like the backlash of what people would say, especially about me talking about periods, because it is still considered taboo. I feel like that kind of held me back a little bit. And then it's like, okay, well, the only way to get over this fear is to actually do it. So that's what I just started doing. I just started like just speaking about it. And I ended up speaking at like professional conferences upstate New York and Rochester. And that moment in Rochester when I spoke at that professional conference is what was really like, okay, this is the thing. This is what got me going. And that's really what kept me going. It was just finally just putting myself out there, like in the midst of everything that I was feeling.
And reality, you learn that it's a topic that people want to learn about. So, if you don't mind giving me an idea of what is the 30% productivity that differentiates us, and explain that if you don't mind, just small synopsis.
Oh, yes, of course. So when it comes to the 30% boost, I don't know if a lot of people know, but a lot of women tend to have a higher burnout rate. And they also tend to have a higher turnover rate when it comes to corporations. And that is because we're not working to what's optimal for our productivity. So when it comes to our productivity, everything is aligned to our 4 phases. So we all know about our period, our menstruation. That's the first start of our cycle. But I always like to give this little example of like a bell shape. This is how you can imagine our energy going when we're going through our cycles. So here is like, menstruating, we're at the low right there, but we start to go up the hill, which is our follicular phase. So every single day our energy as women is increasing every single day. So she might even sleep less during this time, but this is like the great time to be in front of your people when it comes to your people, like your team, and organizing and launching. This is the time to be doing like your strategic planning and launching those strategic plannings during this time. This is a great time to be networking, actually, because your energy is going up every single day. So you come in the room and you're like, hey, blah, 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 here I am, like that energy is just popping off, and it just keeps going up and up until we're ovulating. And I know a lot of people associate, ovulating with just, having a baby or just, being able to get pregnant, but it's actually at the point where we're at our highest energy. So that is where it comes to boosting productivity, is actually aligning your task with what phase you are actually in. Because soon as you go up, you come off that curve, you're going down the curve. So what you were doing when you were follicular going up, you should not be doing the same thing when you're going down, because your energy is getting less every single day. This is the time you might even find yourself sleeping more, but also our brain, it goes into a reflective mode. So even the things that you were doing before, you might start to feel foggy or confused, but you're foggy and confused because you're trying to do the same thing you were doing just 2 weeks ago when you were follicular, and I know women, we get kind of picked on about that, about, not being irrational and things of that nature. And that's because we're going down that hill. So we have to actually switch out what we're doing in order for us to boost our productivity and to be more optimal. So that's actually a great time to be looking at your data. So it's like, okay, what were we doing these last 2 weeks? What's working? What's not working? Okay, let's look at the numbers here. Okay, let's look at our analytics here. It's a great time to be doing things that cause, how do you say, a lot of reflection. It requires you to actually just sit down and look at things for a while, maybe even ponder over it for a couple of days. That is a great time to be doing that. And you actually would get more done following your phase cycles than trying to push through something when you're cloudy and you're foggy and you're making more mistakes. And it's like, okay, no. So that's actually the key, is aligning up to your proper phase. It's not saying that you have to just rest when you're luteal, but you do need to switch up what you're doing in order to boost your productivity, because you can get more done in 2.5 weeks than you have to in 30 days if you just, optimize that phase that you're in. So that's how you boost your productivity, is actually by aligning it. And it's not just with tasks, it's actually with exercises too. Like when we're follicular, it's actually a better time for us to be doing strength training and cardio work when we're follicular. And when we're luteal, it's a better time to be doing yoga and Pilates. So it even coordinates with our exercises. Even the foods we eat coordinate with our different phases. Like when we're luteal, we're going down that hill. It's better to start incorporating things like blueberries because it has antioxidants. So it exactly. So it already starts to help with, some women who experience PMS symptoms. Blueberries help with inflammation, and a lot of symptoms are caused by inflammation. So it's a lot of things that we can do naturally to control like our symptoms. And it starts with just being aware, just being conscious of like, oh, I'm in this phase. I'm not crazy. There's nothing wrong with me, because, like that tends to happen. But it's like, because, remember that hill, you were at the top, and then it's like you start going down. So you can wake up the next day and you're like, what's wrong with me? I was just so excited yesterday, and now I'm just feeling down and blue. And we can actually confuse that with depression. That's where like irrational actions can actually happen when we are, as women, are not conscious of what's happening with our body at that time. So exactly. So it's a very like all around thing. I even do this like with any guy I'm dating. If I'm luteal, I'll let them know I'm luteal. I'd be like, hey, I'm luteal right now. And what do you think the first question they say to me?
What is luteal? What is it?
Exactly. They say, what is luteal? And I'm like, I'm glad you asked me what that is. I will tell you what that is. It's the week right before my period, and my energy is going down every single day. So it's nothing against you, but my energy is getting low. And a lot of times I will have guys have that aha moment, and they'd be like, oh, that makes sense. And they would think of another female in their life, and they'd be like, oh man, that reminds me. I thought my sister was just being lazy. And it was like, oh wow, she was just looted. He was like, I have to go and apologize to her. So I do it to educate men as well, because men need to understand, like, we are not equal. Trust, we don't want to be. Okay, we are fabulous. We do not want to be your equal. We don't want that. We just want to be treated with the same respect as women, because we work differently. Not to say one is better than the other, we just work differently. That's all. So I believe, not only should we be so self-aware as women, just for our productivity, but for our health wise and for our nutrition, but also to be able to educate men so that they have more of an empathetic leadership.
I understand that totally now. So let me ask you a question. Are you still working another job as well? Because most female entrepreneurs are.
Yes, I am.
Okay. So the question comes is, how do you balance the job you have, working the business you have created, which is phenomenal, and also on top of that, friends, family, and so forth? How do you balance it all?
That's a very good question. So, in order for me to, like, let's say, balance like my work that I do outside of my other job, what I do is I set aside certain days. So, like Monday, for example, will be like my grant days. So, on Mondays, I just focus on that. I actually hired a virtual assistant to take care of like my social media, so it's like I started delegating things, because at first I feel like we feel like a lot of pressure and we try to do everything ourselves, which does not work. It does not work at all, ladies. Okay, there's a reason we get burned out, is because we're trying to do too much of the things, and we're trying to do too much of the things at the wrong time. So that is one way I started balancing, was like, okay, let me delegate this to someone else. Let me set certain days aside to only work on certain things when it comes to my business. Now, when it comes to my job, and when I know that, okay, this is the time I'm about to be luteal. Okay, this is the time I'm about to menstruate. Okay, let me start getting in my blueberries. I'm a big blueberries person. It's like, okay, let me start getting in my blueberry smoothies, getting that in, because then it eliminates the symptoms. So I'm able to actually function. And I'm actually very open with my employer too, which, I know some females might feel weird about that, but I'm very open with them. I'm like, hey, I'm luteal right now. I explain to them what luteal means so that they can understand their other female workers. And it's like, hey, it might take me a little bit of time to get through certain things this week, but I'm going to get through, and they're like, oh, okay. And I mean, he was even like, you can take off a couple of days if you want to. So that, I feel like being open about what's going on with your employer, it sets the tone. I know it can feel a little taboo to do. And of course, my employer is a man. But it's like, hey, this is what's happening right now. This is what I'm going through. And he was like, if you need to take a couple of days off every month, go ahead. He was like, I'd rather you be healthy, than to come in here and you're not feeling well, because then I can't give my best. Okay. So, and also I do uterine movements the week before, and also when I'm menstruating. So there is like there's a movement called camel pose done in Bikram yoga. Mm-hmm. This pose specifically massages the uterus. So I start incorporating uterine movements along with certain foods to help aid me, because I know I have to be at work. And it actually, like, I haven't had any symptoms since I started being mindful of my nutrition and certain exercises. So that's how I like balance everything. But on the weekends, I go in when it comes to my business. Like, I go in, and when it's your own business, you love it. so you don't really feel like you're working, but that's how I basically will like coordinate and work everything.
So, knowing what you've learned so far in business, what would you go back and tell your 18-year-old self?
Have more confidence in yourself.
Mm.
I feel like I experienced so much self-doubt, and I feel like that self-doubt, a lot of it came because I felt like I wasn't good enough. So that comes from like self-worth, and it just got deeper and deeper and deeper, but I would definitely tell my 18-year-old self, definitely to believe in myself.
Mhm.
And it's crazy to be patient, even though like I know that sounds crazy, but when we enter into something new, especially with the new technology age, I want to say, because I remember growing up without social media. I remember growing up where we didn't have a cell phone until like I was probably in high school or something like that. And then it was this like monstrosity of a cell phone, And so I'm used to like not yeah. And now I feel like people are just used to that instant gratification. And it's like, look, Apple wasn't built in one day, you guys. Like it took decades for this company to actually build up its brand. And so patience is also something that I would tell my 18-year-old self. It's like believe in yourself and have patience, because once you believe in yourself, no matter what happens, you'll keep moving forward, but when you have that doubt and that like that lack of self-worth, you question yourself at every move, and then you keep making these crazy directions and turns, and you end up getting nowhere, so it's like, no, trust yourself, know that you're going in the right direction, and be patient, because it takes time. Like it takes time for everything, which is that instant gratification, you really have to get over with.
Talking about direction and curves, what is maybe like a key strategy or something you did in your business that actually everybody else was like, "Oh no, that's not going to work. Don't do that."
What's funny about that? It was I actually got that response, and it's funny because you have to be careful who you speak to.
Mm.
Because I feel like I kind of got more of a backlash from people who did not understand menstrual cycle planning. I feel like I more so got a backlash from that. Like periods, like how are you going to do that? Like how is this going to work? Like how are you going to implement this? And it's like I might not know the how right now, but I know that I can do this. So it was all those like doubters and naysayers when it actually came to me niching down. A
Mm.
lot of people were like, oh, you're too niche. You should broaden, what you're doing. And why don't you work with men and things of that nature? Like, why don't you include men when you work with them? And it's just like, okay, but my heart is towards women. So honestly, the people I needed to speak to came along later on.
Mhm.
I feel like sometimes they were just a lot of noise. Those who had like a lot to say but didn't know anything about what I was speaking about. So that being said, I would definitely be mindful of who you are speaking to, because you can get really discouraged by someone who has no idea what they're talking
The
about.
naysayers, the people who don't understand, on and on and on.
And they have so much to say when they don't understand. And I'm just like, I don't understand that. Like, if I don't know anything about Peru, I'm not going to speak about Peru. I'm going to refer you to someone who knows about that. And that's what ended up happening. Actually, that's what happened. I went to a women's conference in Atlanta, and there was a doctor who was actually pitching about menstrual cycle planning. And I was like, oh my gosh, like this is where I needed to be. So after like getting all like the doubts, I ended up surrounding myself with like women who were just like, this is the way to go. And then I just ended up connecting with more women. And it's very big over in the UK, actually. about menstrual cycle planning. And I was just like, oh, so that was my big thing. But like when it came to like the doubters and naysayers, it definitely brought me down. I'm not going to lie, but it didn't bring me down so much that I was just like, I'm not going to do this anymore. Because I did become aware that they really weren't the people to be speaking to it about.
Definitely. Just watch who you talk to.
Yeah.
That's it. All right. What about any future plans you have for this year? What can we keep an eye out for you?
Honestly, my goal is to try to get more. Well, one, I want to have my book published. I can't say the title just yet because I want to
Yeah.
go through a publisher. Yes, which was like a big thing for me finally deciding to go through a publisher and to actually get an agent. Because at first I was going to self publish on Amazon. And then I found out like if you self publish on Amazon, publishers will not pick up your book because technically you have it on Amazon. So I was like, you know what? Let me stop this hype right now, because I feel like that's another thing is that we get caught up in trends of what's going on, and self-publishing is big on Amazon right now. So that is one of my goals is for my book that will be coming out. But also my goal is to speak on college stages. I want to get to the future female leaders who are coming up, and I want them to understand, but also I want them to understand for their academia, to understand, hey, there's a reason you're feeling this way. This is a good and optimal time for you to be studying. This is a great and optimal time for you to be taking your tests. And this is a good time for you to be doing this. So I want to get to our future leaders. So that is actually my goal for 2025 is to be speaking on college stages, but also I know this might seem like a lot, but not really. I really want to speak at the Hewitt School. It's an all-girls school here. So yes, I want to speak to girls who are like in middle school, approaching that time when they're going to be entering their period. And I want to give them that period education because I don't want them to enter it the same way I feel a lot of us enter it with that lack of knowledge. It's like, this is what it really means for us to be entering womanhood. It's not just about our period. We're about to go through 4 different phases here, and you're going to go through it for at least 30 years, before you get into perimenopause, and that's for another 20 years, so it's like this is like 50 years of our life that's not really explained to us. I'm like, this is a big deal. So I want to catch them early. So my goal this year is for the future. I'm thinking about the future generations.
I think that's cool. That's going to be amazing because it's so needed.
It's very needed. And when they're entering to the workforces and when they're starting their own businesses, I feel like they will have more empathy, compared to what's happening right now. They might even start offering period days, for like their women employees. It's like, why not?
That definitely. So if you had a superpower for one day, what would it be?
Ooh, a superpower for one day. This might I don't know how to say this, but if I had a superpower, I would send out like this energy wave to everyone literally here on earth to embed the energy of peace and love, like literally just in everyone, just like it's just a superpower that's just like boom, and just everyone just feels peace and love within, because that's really the cause of all friction. It's because we're not identified with our own peace. Everyone, like, we have it, it's inside of us, but it's constantly either under attack, either from outside or from within. So that would be like my superpower, is to give everyone that feeling, because it's the most amazing feeling. Like, I don't know if you do like meditations and things of that nature, but it's like when you feel that high, it's like even colors seem brighter. Like, you go outside and things seem new, even though you've walked this street before, it all seems new, and you're nicer to people, and I feel like that's what we need to spread and show love to each other.
I think that's perfect. I think love is the key. And I think, oh my God, what a sweet superpower.
Yeah, because I was gonna say to stop all war, but it's like, but if everyone had that peace and love, it would actually just stop all war. Like it would just
Well,
end everything. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, come on, just have peace and love everybody, and life is happy. Come on.
I mean, that's our only assignment as humans. Like when I just boiled down everything, I was like, look, our assignment is just to get along with each other. Like when you think about it, like that's really it.
Yeah.
It's just to get along with each other. And it's actually can be quite simple if we didn't have this elevation mentality where someone wants to elevate themselves above someone else
Mm.
instead of seeing them like, like this tree is just as valuable as I am. This tree is providing me oxygen. My breath is providing CO2 for the tree. Everything like that we have here is for each other. Like, so it's like if we all just saw that, and went and tried to elevate ourselves over each other, it actually goes back to more of a matriarch type mentality now that I think about it. I heard a matriarch expert say this very well. She was saying the patriarch can be defined as power over others, which is what we're in right now. People believe in having power over others. But in the matriarch, it was about the power from within. And that's
Wow.
what empowerment really is. It's about power from within. And the issue comes with trying to be up and over each other. It's like, well, I have this much amount of money, I'm better than you.
Oh, yeah. That's what people think. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like if we could just get rid of that mentality, because it's like if I'm a billionaire, I'm giving money away. Like I'm gonna be like Oprah, who wants a car? You want a car? You want a car? You get it?
That's like one of my
Like,
favorite things. I say that all the time. I'm gonna have a big giveaway. You have it. You have it.
definitely. Like I would just want to give. If I
Mhm.
just had that abundance of money, I would just give all day, every day. Like,
Yeah. So I saw this Christmas movie. I don't remember who it all is or whatever, but he was a multimillionaire living in this very modest world. And he would just find out who needed things and he would just give it to them anonymously. And he was dying. So the neighbor across the street for him, he left her all the money. She just had to continue doing what he was doing.
oh,
It was
that is
such a
sweet.
yes. So it was the coolest little movie.
Oh, wow. Is that based on a true story?
I don't know. It was just really phenomenal though.
Oh,
And
wow. That is amazing.
he called all the other people his angels, like the churches, the people there at the church would say who was in need, and it was all done anonymously. They would only, you know, it was really cool.
Wow, that's amazing. But yeah, like that's our purpose is to serve others with, our gifts.
Mhm.
And we all
So
have different gifts.
we do, we do, and we all have different likes and dislikes and everything else.
Yes, and you know what? That's okay. We're not all gonna like the same thing, but as long as like we respect each other and we're not doing harm to others or to ourselves, then it's good. I
Mhm.
feel like it doesn't become good when it's either harm to ourselves or harm to others. That's when, I consider it not good. I know some people say, oh, there's no such thing as good as bad, but I think that's a bunch of crock.
I know, there's pure evil
I'm like,
sometimes.
no, there's duality in everything. So you
Mhm.
can't say that there's no such thing as bad. Like, no, it exists.
There's good and bad. So what is your favorite book? Let's talk about some good stuff. What is your favorite book?
Oh, I am on The Power of Now right now.
Ooh.
I know it's like old school, but I have
Mm.
just been rereading this thing like crazy because I feel like that is the key to experiencing miracles is to be present in every moment. I feel like our minds are constantly going to what do I have to do next? What do I have to prepare at home? Like even when we're at work, what do I have to do at home? We're never actually fully present, but when we are fully present, we can actually experience like the miracles like every single day. Like today, speaking of work, I work in a root canal office. Yes, of all things, you guys, I work in a root canal office. And, with root canals, people, it happens suddenly when somebody can be in pain. So today was crazy, of course, and I was by myself. I'm the only one there. I have to verify everybody's insurance for the new year because it just hit the new year. And I have these three providers. I'm by myself. I'm answering phones and all this other stuff. And all of a sudden, one of the doctors comes out and she gives me a bottle of champagne. And she goes, "Hey, I'm allergic to alcohol. So here I was like, oh, look at the universe blessing me for my hard work today." Like, it was, and it's like little things like that, that if we stay present for, we can really appreciate, and that's what I mean by like, just being present, and the word is in itself present, it is a present, it's a gift, and to be there for the entire moment is really like how we can experience abundance.
That is a sweet story. I love that one. What about a song that gets you moving and grooving?
Oh man, I know this is another old school. I am old school, you guys. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. Okay, I think this is like a 13-year-old song, but Katy Perry's song Roar.
Yeah. It's still popular. It's okay.
It's still pop. Actually, I have two. It's Katy Perry's Roar and Whitney Houston's I'm Every Woman.
Oh,
Even older. But I have just been jamming out to these lately.
don't you find we get on a kick? Like we find these songs, we're like, oh, I like that song.
And it hits you at certain points. It's like,
Mhm.
I don't know, lately it's just been all about women empowerment songs. Like that's all I've been on. And also, I think it also goes back to the self-worth and me, like, also just constantly bombarding my mind, with these positive songs, so I also think that it's a personal growth thing as well.
I think so. But I think we're all on that same journey, so it fits. What
Oh,
about a
good.
favorite quote?
Oh man, there was this quote by, actually I have it on my website. It's by Coco Chanel. Ah, gosh, wait a minute. Hold on a second, because now I have to look it up. But I have it. And yes, I have it on my website. Hold on a second. I have to look this up right now.
So I
Sorry,
am a
you
Coco
guys.
Chanel freak. I love
Oh,
Coco
you
Chanel.
are? Oh my gosh.
Yes, I do. I love her. I think she's fabulous.
Her quote is, "Women have always been the strong ones of the world."
True.
And I'm like, yes. I'm like, yes. And yes. I was just like, yes, like that's just says it all right there.
We're the ones that get things done. Hello?
Yes, not only get things done, but I also feel, a lot of things that are happening in the world is due to insecurity.
Hmm.
A lot of times when we look at just the history of women and the oppression of women, I feel like a lot of times it's because of men's own insecurity, like feeling threatened. And it's like, okay, there's no need. I don't feel threatened by you. Like, you're not a competition. Like, why do you see me as a competition and a threat here, for the need to oppress, because that's usually what happens is someone feels threatened by another group or another sex and they feel the need to oppress, and I'm like, that's where we really got to work on some things there.
How do you stay motivated?
Oh, my silent meditations,
Mm.
especially first thing in the morning after I have my water, going into just silence. And I mean, before, I don't even look at my phone, like it, and I don't look at anything, and it's just staying silent, getting in tune with my body, what's happening with my body, and setting a good intention for the day. Actually, what keeps me sane. No matter how crazy today was, I feel like I didn't lose my peace throughout the entire day. It's like, yeah, I might be going crazy and everything, but I didn't get so frustrated where I lost my connection with my peace. So I feel like silent meditation is what really keeps my motivation actually going.
That is key. That is key.
And silence is the key, because we're
Mm.
bombarded, I feel, with so many things throughout the day. I feel like the world is so much more noisier. But of course, like I said, we didn't have the cell phones before, so we weren't in tune with every single thing that was happening.
Right.
Compared to the generations that are coming up, they are so bombarded with everything that's happening globally that they're going through a lot.
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
going to say, oh, they have it easier. Like, no, they have a lot that they have to carry on their shoulders, actually.
They do.
So it's tough for them. So I feel like silence, even more, to disconnect, is even more important now than ever.
Meditation and silence, just sitting. Can you just sit? Yep. All right. How can an audience stay connected with you?
Oh, yes. So I'm a LinkedIn person. So you can definitely find me on LinkedIn, but also my website, www.misstonya.com. That's MSTONYA.com. You can stay connected with me there. You can see what I'm up to, and you can check out other women as well. I'm going to be posting up other women's services. So yeah, like women who need resources, they can find out like who's in their area. So that's the best way to stay connected with me, is through my website, or just connecting with me on LinkedIn, which you can also find on my website as well.
So cool. So is there anything else you want to share with our audience today that we didn't discuss yet?
If I had to share one, start tracking your periods.
Hey.
Start tracking your periods, women. If you are menstruating, please start tracking your periods, because it's very, especially our luteal phase. I did not mention this. I mentioned how the mind goes into reflection mode, but if there's something that may be bothering you or that you're keeping hidden, it comes up during this time. So it's a very good time for healing. During our luteal phase is a very good time and opportunity for you to heal whatever comes up for you during that time. So ladies, about a week before your period and your energy starts to go down, you're going to notice a lot of things come up for you. Do not ignore it, because it's going to constantly keep coming up for you until you finally deal with it. And then once you finally deal with it, you're going to be able to heal it. And, that's the key. Us menstruating is a very powerful tool for us to heal, actually. So hone into that power and take advantage of it.
Cool. Thank you so much. I love it. I love your topic. I think every woman needs to learn about it, no matter what stage they are in life. They have to understand it 100%. And plus, I also think, especially moms that have girls that are at junior high, I think it'd be great for them to get the education as well.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. Because they're gonna hear all the little stereotypes that come through. And, I think most importantly, they need to understand there's nothing wrong with them. They need to understand, like, yeah, you are feeling this way because your hormones are dropping like crazy. Like, there's nothing wrong with you. This is biologically happening to you. And there's chemistries that are happening in your brain. It's okay. You are normal. Like, there's nothing wrong with you. You don't have to push through this.
That is so true. Well, Tonya, I loved having you on here talking about this subject and helping our female entrepreneurs grow their business. And I want to thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me.
You're so cute. Have a good one.
Oh, you too.
Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Female Entrepreneurs Magazine. I hope you found inspiration, actionable tips, and a sense of connection with our incredible community of driven women. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, leave a review, and share the episode with fellow entrepreneurs who are ready to elevate their game. Remember, your success is just the beginning, and we're here to support you in every step of the way. Until next time, keep shining, keep thriving, and remember, You have the power to create the business and life of your dreams. Stay inspired, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.